Hey, welcome everyone. It's been a while, but as I've mentioned a little bit before on Facebook, we're going to be back with some weekly episodes of the show, talking to people that are involved in the alcohol and drug space or have personal stories or family members, all this kind of stuff. Today, I'm pretty excited because he's got a big story. I've heard it before and it's super interesting. We're with Matty. How do you say? Nettleton. There you go. I asked him about 6 times before we went on how you say it, but I can never do it. From Reframe Therapies. And there's some interesting stuff around the work that he's doing now, which I think is a really cool and interesting perspective. So, look, man, tell us a bit about yourself. Like, what gets you involved in all this kind of stuff?
Okay. My story, I started using drugs when I was about 12, but before that,
12?
Yeah, 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Early starter.
Yeah. Before that, growing up, I grew up in a pretty nice family. Dad's got a few anxiety issues and whatnot, but, there was a lot of love and whatnot.
So, like, middle class or?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, middle upper.
Yeah.
So there was nothing wrong with my environment, but something within me always felt like I don't belong.
Yeah.
And there was a feeling of I'm not safe.
Right. And were you aware of that at the time? No. So that's kind of like hindsight, you realise that?
Yeah. It was like an undercurrent of impending doom.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I went to school, like in primary school, and I started to get pretty severely bullied, didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
So that just proved to me that, I don't belong, that I'm not safe here. I had a horrible time at primary school. I was always really alone. My friends would be my friends one day, but then the next day they wouldn't, so I developed all these abandonment issues and whatnot. Mum and dad were everything to me. The only time I felt safe was with mum and dad. Dad got cancer at one point, so mum's attention went up to him. And,
wow.
So I think I was in year 4 or something, and I felt even more alone.
Yeah.
And the first time I drank, I think I was about 9.
Wow.
Or something. I raided mum and dad's liquor cabinet.
Yeah.
And I remember all those feelings overridden.
So that's interesting. What brought you to that conclusion at 9 to go, I want to raid the liquor cabinet and drink? Like, was it you see it on TV or?
Yeah, maybe curiosity.
Yeah.
But I drank to the point I had to be taken to hospital and get my stomach pumped and vomiting all in mum's car and whatnot. I don't remember much, but I do remember leading up to before being that blind, was just safe now.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow. So, and were you conscious of that at the time? Like, did you remember thinking, wow, I really like how this makes me feel? Or?
It was, I didn't know specifically what was going on, but I knew that it gave me what I was looking for.
Wow.
Yeah. Not in those words, but something in me went
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, and then where did you go from there? So, did you freak out when you woke up in the hospital or?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah. Not sure. I'd have to ask my mum what happened after that. But, it's... So what ended up happening after that was, I was really resentful of mum and dad for not letting me move schools.
Yeah.
It felt like it was me against the whole world. And
Yeah.
I'm not safe here and I've got to protect myself at all costs.
Yeah.
Eventually they did let me change schools.
Yeah.
When I was about 13, and I started smoking bongs and doing whatever I could before school. I was playing around with speed and ecstasy and whatever else I could find at that stage. And I remember saying to myself back then, I'm going to try everything once and then that's it.
Yeah.
When I changed schools, I sort of made a decision, not consciously. I didn't know this is what I was doing, but I'm going to make friends with the most dangerous people I can find. I'm going to build a reputation for myself so I won't be bullied. Another way of me feeling safe.
Yeah.
Because when I was with all the gangster types and the people that were doing crime and, going to juvie and whatnot, I felt safe.
Yeah.
It gave me the same thing as what the drug did.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what I was doing. I actually thought, I was a gangster. you know, so I had like a rat tail halfway down to my ass, like walking around school thinking I was awesome. And, you know, I was like 13, 14, 15 and whatnot. And, you know, so I was smoking bongs every day. I was drinking. I was using speed and ice. I was doing everything, really. And, you know, all my friends were going to juvie. I was doing crimes. I was standing over, trying to stand over people, trying to make a name for myself. And, you know, I look back, it all came from fear. Yeah. Like, I was terrified. And doing all these things made me feel safe. Yeah. Yeah. You know, then when I was about, like... See, I don't know what happened where, at exactly what age, because it's all a bit of a blur. You know, maybe 16, 17, I started using heroin intravenously. Yeah. And, you know, as soon as I had that, it was just... everything would just go away. So just going back, how does, like, to explain to the people that are watching, because what happens, it's funny, we're going to get there eventually, but nobody, like, comments and likes the actual post. Yeah. I imagine because of, like, stigma and stuff. But what happens every time we post something like this, I'm just getting an influx of, like, our family members, especially writing messages and stuff. Yeah. So, and people are always so interested, and I forget, having kind of been through it, and you're probably the same, but how do you go in that progression from, you know, kind of drinking alcohol or smoking dope with your friends and kind of being a little punk or whatever to, you know, like shooting heroin, which is actually like a pretty extreme thing. You know? Yeah, it is. Like, what's it like, I don't know if you can remember, but like, what are you kind of thinking in that process, or like, where's your head at? It was sort of like an attitude of more. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because it was giving me what I needed. I got to feel safe. And, you know, if I was completely okay within myself at any given moment, why would I need alcohol? Yeah. You know, why would I need heroin? Why would I need anything? So there's some undercurrent that I wasn't even conscious of. And if someone had told me back then, you've got emotional pain. Yeah. You know, you're hurting. I would have been like, no, I'm not. I'm doing this because I want to. Yeah. You know, but, so there would have been no way to convince me that that's what was happening. But, you know, like, you questioned that the more relief I got, the more I wanted. Yeah. So it was a never-ending cycle. And that's, you know, alcohol gave me this much relief. Yeah. You know? And then I'd feel sick. And then ice would give me this much relief. Yeah. Ecstasy would give me this much relief for this amount of time. And then heroin would just woof. Yeah. Yeah. It was like the ultimate. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the progression. Yeah. More and more relief. But I didn't even know that I was looking for relief. Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting. So that's something interesting that people can watch out for if they have family members and stuff, is looking beyond the behaviour or the drug use or whatever's going on and trying to think what's going on. Yeah, well, like the drugs give us something, you know. So, like, someone who's shy might take an upper. Yeah. Because, you know, what's shyness apart from a type of fear? Yeah. Yeah, fear of being seen and heard and whatnot. And if that fear wasn't there, they wouldn't need the drug to be social and whatnot. So it's giving them relief from something within them. Yeah. And do you think, I was having this conversation with you beforehand, do you think that, because I've been talking to some professionals and I find it really interesting, I've learned something, that there's only actually 1% of the population, of the drug using population, so that's people as they grow up using drugs or whatever, that actually turn full blown addicts like me and you. And it always makes me ask the question of what's that difference. So you definitely think the difference is what you're talking about, that thing that you're trying to escape from and run away from. You know, in 12-step groups they call it self-centered fear. That impending doom, that undercurrent, something's wrong. Something's fundamentally wrong with me. But I like to differentiate, you know, substance abuse with addiction, even though they're the same thing. Because I think everyone's got addiction. Everyone's got this problem, whether it be social media, whether it be money, work, sex, you know, porn, whatever it is. Everyone's got it in some, could be very subtle. You know, I think it's the seeking of pleasure and the resisting of pain at the end of the day. Interesting. And there's different levels of emotional pain. When it's big emotional pain, you go for heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah, the strongest painkiller known to man.
Yeah, right. Okay, so sorry, we got a bit sidetracked, but let's go back there. So yeah, you started using heroin and it just wiped you out and you loved it.
Yeah, basically. I did. And, you know, I also like had this mindset that I thought it was cool as well. You know, and like I wasn't really conscious of it then, but it did give me what I needed. It made me, it sort of tied in with, you know, hanging around with the gangster types, like, oh, he's a heroin addict.
Yeah.
Be scared of him.
Yeah.
So I got to feel safe in that way too.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, I started using heroin and started hanging around, you know, like more harder people, like graduating in that area. When I was 18, on my 18th birthday, my friend came running in, and he was like one of my best friends, and he came running in. I thought it was a birthday surprise, like an 18th something, and we went out to the couch. I was living in his flat at that time. Pointed to the couch, and there was one of our friends overdosed, dead on the couch. And you know, like I freaked, but I was so emotionally numb that it was sort of like I went into autopilot and cleared out the house of all the paraphernalia and whatnot, and then went for lunch with my mum for my birthday. I can't remember if I told her what had happened or not, but you know, like people said to me, wasn't that enough to make you stop, to realise what you were doing? No, it did the opposite. I needed to use more because
to get away from the
pain.
Yeah.
So any tragedy that happened wasn't waking me up at that point. It was
interesting. And do you think that's because it's something that I've noticed? Do you think that is because kind of like that saying, like drugs have a personality, or you know, they kind of change the way that you actually think about the world? Because people often ask, you know, oh, you overdosed and you nearly died, or the situation that you just explained.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that scare you off it, or wouldn't that make you think? But it's like, no, because it's a weird thing that happens to you that it actually changes how you see the world.
Well, my favourite place to be at this point was between unconscious and dead.
Yeah.
If I wasn't there, I was unhappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, so like I got on the methadone program at that stage as well, and like I was using on top of it, you know, doctor shopping, taking heaps of Xanax, ridiculous amounts of Xanax. You know, like I'd wake up a week later and not know what had happened in that week with all these new police charges and whatnot.
Pinch in a bottle.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so I was on methadone. I ended up being sentenced to prison for a bit. Was on methadone in there.
Yeah.
Sort of had friends in there and whatnot too. Yeah. So, but I was so, you know, delusional. I didn't see what was happening or where it was going.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't want to say just living for or in the moment, but it was just a normalized tragedy basically at this point. And so I got out and I continued to use, and the next few years are a blank. It was just Groundhog Day, you know, pinch cans, go doctor shopping, see like 10 doctors a week, or, you know, score heroin, sell heroin and whatnot, do all that. Hang around with the crew and drink in parks and, you know, meet chicks, and it was ridiculous. And, you know, I was this skinny. You know, walking around, thought I could bash anyone, but I was just like 58 kilo. And, you know, so, yeah, when I was about 21, I think it was when I was about 21, I actually don't know, but, you know, I was seeing this young girl and, like, we were using a lot, me with my friend Anthony, in the flat that I'd been living in, and, you know, we were getting bottles pinched from pharmacies of Xanax and taking a lot of heroin, and it was bound to happen sooner or later you know, to one of us. But I woke up one morning and she was wrapped around my leg, overdosed, and she'd been dead for hours. Yeah. And so I was accumulating all this emotional pain, and, you know, like, it's sad because I think she was about 18 at the time. And looking back, it's like she never got a chance to get clean. And she was only just, you know, she hadn't been in it for forever.
Yeah.
Like there still could have been a way out.
Yeah.
But that's what happens with this when you're playing around with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, a big part of me blamed myself. A lot of other people were blaming me too, which sort of added to that. I blamed myself, and what did I do? Got between unconscious and dead, so I didn't have to deal with it. And, you know, I was having a lot of court cases. Parents were forking out heaps of money for me to go to rehabs and for lawyers and whatnot. And looking back, they would have been better off to do nothing at that point. Yeah. Because there was no way I was going to get clean. Yeah. No, not a chance in hell. Yeah. And so after that happened, you know, I lost a lot of friends. Yeah. A lot of people turned on me. You know, and like I was using to sort of overdose at that point. Like I wasn't suicidal, but I had a death wish. I didn't give a shit whether I lived or died. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so the next couple of years were just a blur, but you know, I ended up going back to jail, so the second time, not for too long, but then I came out. And I was meeting up with my friend when I was living with Anthony, and I said, don't bring gear because, you know, I'm clean, but I'm on methadone clean. Yeah. And, you know, I don't want to use. And he was like, okay, sweet. So he used in a public toilet a couple 100 meters away from me, died in that public toilet. Overdosed, yeah. You know, so I don't know if I went straight away and used, but like I did pretty quickly. Yeah. But the thing is, by this point, I wasn't surprised. Yeah. I'd normalized it so mad. Yeah. You know, it was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, this has happened again. Yeah. Which is so sad, like looking back, you know. And, you know, for the next couple of years, you know, I had like a couple friends, but I didn't really give a shit. Yeah. It was just me and heroin. Yeah. And benzos when I could get them. Yeah. Xannies were becoming harder to get. Alcohol, whatever I could, just KO'd. Yeah. Yeah. My plan was to be KO'd. Yeah. So, and were you still on methadone at this time? Yeah. 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 So, if I can just change gears just quickly to ask you about, because I think it's something interesting. So, talk us through. And not just in your experience, I know it's like anecdotal with all the people that you probably hung around as well, but maybe you can tell us about them too. Like when you're using heroin, there's definitely this view out there that methadone is meant to help, kind of replace the heroin, you know, and stop you using. Like, does that, like, talk us through it? Does that actually happen? Or? Well, I don't know anyone that had stopped them using heroin. Yeah. It manages withdrawals. Yeah. That's what I found. And what I'd do is, you know, I'd get my 5 takeaways for the week and I'd down 3 of them. Yeah. And then, you know, I'd make sure that I had my Centrelink money so I could use heroin for the next few days. Yeah. So you just use on top of it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It probably kept me alive because it kept my tolerance through the roof. Yeah. 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 In that sense, yeah, it probably did keep me alive. Okay. Cool. Interesting. But at the end of the day, coming off that was 1,000 times worse. Really? Traumatic for the body. 1,000 times more painful coming off that than heroin. Wow. Yeah. It was horrible. Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, no, just interesting. I just wanted to understand that. And you mentioned as well about the benzos. So, you know, when you were talking about overdosing and friends overdosing and stuff like that, was it usually because they were mixing the two? Yeah. Yeah. Benzos, heroin. Yeah. 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 Yeah, most of the time. Okay. So, all right, we just changed gears. I just wanted to get that out before I forgot it. Yeah. But so where did you go from there? You were cocktailing all those drugs. Yeah. So I was still on methadone. I was doing detoxes and whatnot. Yeah. Like a big part of me wanted to get clean. Yeah. But a big part of me wanted to use, and it was just like I was torn. Yeah. You know. So that's interesting as well. Actually, talk us through that because that's something that people don't understand that aren't using drugs with their family members or whatever. You actually do want to stop what you're doing, but it's almost like there's two people inside of you. Well, no, like with all my study and whatnot now, I call that like the battle between the conscious and the subconscious mind. Yeah. You know, because the subconscious mind, it always wants to keep you safe.
Yeah.
It will keep you safe even from your own emotional pain.
Yeah.
You know, I would be walking to go score, telling myself I don't want to do this consciously.
Yeah.
Saying, I know this is going to end up bad, rah, 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 but my body's still walking there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my subconscious was in control.
Yeah.
Saying, no, it's not safe for you not to use. There's too much emotional pain.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So it's like a tug of war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you feel like it was impossible to override that by yourself?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you'd go to detox. Did you find that would help or?
You know, like I did a lot of detoxes, you know, and a lot of the times I'd sneak stuff in, or because I'd be so terrified of withdrawal that, you know, and that they wouldn't med me up properly.
Yeah.
Because the amount of methadone I was on and the amount of drugs I was using, the withdrawal was fucking traumatic. I'd have seizures. You know, there were times when my heart stopped just from detoxing.
Particularly from benzos.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, like I'd go in and, like I'd learn a lot about why I was doing what I was doing, but like at the end of the day, knowing what I was doing didn't stop me from doing it. Like I couldn't.
Yeah.
And so, I'd go in and I'd detox and I'd be up shaking, vomiting for days on end without sleep and whatnot, and all the ice addicts would come in and just crash, and I'd get so resentful, so pissed off and whatnot. And I'd hit a certain point where I was detoxed, if I'd even make it that far, a lot of the time. And all the trauma, emotional pain had come up, I'd be off straight away without a choice. Yeah. There was too much happening. You know, it's like I'd been skinned alive. My mum was telling me recently, she said, you said to me, I told her years ago that my natural state without drugs in my system was like walking in and finding my whole family dead. That agony, emotional pain. Yeah, that's what it was like when I didn't have drugs in my system by the end, after accumulating all this pain.
Wow.
Yeah, but it didn't start like that.
Yeah,
that's right. It was minimal emotional pain.
Yeah,
I was avoiding.
And so that's the terrible thing about drug use, isn't it? You just you start using, whether it's just because you're hanging out with your mates and you want to be having fun, or there is some underlying stuff going on, but throughout the course of your actual addiction or using drugs, fucked up shit happens, which kind of increases the amount of shit on the pile of shit that's already there. And it's like petrol on the fire, and it just keeps getting bigger.
It does.
So out of all that, then, what was the thing that like turned it around for you and made you stop?
Okay, so by the end, I attempted rehab 17 times. You know, been to jails and whatnot. And by the end, I didn't really have anyone left. The people in my life had either gotten well, given up crime or whatnot. Maybe one or two that I know are doing well now. Everyone else dead or in jail. And you know, so by the end, there was two people I was speaking to. You know, one was a really close friend, and the other I'd just done a rehab with, and we'd left early. And so the last time I was in rehab, I got called into the psych's office in group, and I got told one of them had died of an overdose. And then a couple nights later on the news, I saw, you know, my other friend who I'd known for a long time, probably 10 years. He'd been sentenced to jail for 21 years for murder.
Wow.
At that point, I remember sitting there, and like I'd detoxed at this point. I'd come off the methadone a few rehabs prior, and I remember that anxiety. Everything was triggered. I was running to the toilet to make myself vomit, to try and vomit up this anxiety. I was laying in bed just like trying to breathe through it. It was absolute hell. And all I wanted to do was go and use. Because that's the biggest war I've had with myself, not to go and use at that moment. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Those couple days. But, you know, I spoke to one of the counsellors, and she did a technique with me called tapping, like EFT. And just on my anxiety, and she brought me from about a 10 out of 10 anxiety, probably 100 out of 10 anxiety, down to maybe 1 or a 2. In about half an hour. And I think if she hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't be here.
Wow.
Just because so much was going on, I would have left sooner or later, you know. And so at that point, I sort of hit like, you know, a surrender. Like I call it a moment of clarity.
Yeah.
Like I saw everything as what it is for the first time.
Wow.
So I saw, you know, how fucked my life had become.
Yeah.
And I was only, I think, 25 or 26 at this stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at that moment, you know, like I saw I was at a crossroads. It was like, I can't keep staying on this merry-go-round of use and overdose and weekly, you know, back to rehab, using, losing people. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So if I go out and use, I'm going out and dying.
Yeah.
That's the only option I've got because this is too painful. So it was a decision I made. If I go and use, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to die. But it wasn't like a suicide thing. It was like a resigning.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. That's the only thing left to happen.
Yeah.
Or I've got to start looking
at
recovery, like actually doing recovery. I've got to start looking at all these emotional things, like these emotional traumas I'm carrying and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I left that rehab and like I've been clean since, but you know, I spent a year in transition after that, and I remember people telling me, "Don't look at your traumas for the first year." I wouldn't have made it through a year.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Definitely not. And so I spent a year in that transition house, and you know, the counsellor from the rehab had referred me to someone to do sort of alternative trauma techniques, because I was told by doctors, psychiatrists, or, you know, psychologists, whoever, or medical professionals that, you know, my PTSD was incurable, my anxiety disorders were incurable, I'd have to be medicated, and I'd have to learn to manage and do things like CBT and whatnot. And I was like, well, fuck that. I'd rather use. It's too painful. Yeah. Why would I want to do that? To make other people happy so I'm still here? Yeah. My existence is so miserable. You know? It's like, no. And like being who I am, I wasn't going to resign to that. If I wanted freedom from drugs, I wanted freedom. Yeah. Actual freedom. Yeah. So, you know, I got involved in meetings, 12-step meetings and whatnot, made a bunch of friends who, you know, are still my friends, probably been my friends for the rest of my life. And, you know, I was doing like 2 meetings a day, you know, because I didn't have anyone left. Yeah. Like I had no one. Yeah. So, you know, like I think that connection was really important to have like a supportive environment of people supporting me to stay clean. And, so I started seeing this therapist who the rehab had referred me to, and you know, so every time I'd see him, I'd bring up a memory, like in my imagination. And the good thing is, I didn't have to talk about it over and over and over. I'd bring it up in my imagination, and he'd do all this stuff, like working with my subconscious mind and process the emotion until I could have that memory without the grief, without the pain, without the hurt. It was just something that happened. Wow. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And so every time I saw him, you know, my anxiety levels dropped. Yeah. Until it got to the point, you know, my anxiety was gone. That undercurrent was gone. All the feelings that I started with back when I was a little kid disappeared. All those core beliefs, you know, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I don't belong in this world, all that sort of stuff disappeared, and it got to the point, you know, I showed no signs of PTSD.
Wow. So you went and saw the therapist. Yeah. And how much of a period of time of him doing, what's the therapy method called?
The meridian tapping's one of them. Yeah. So I did some of that with him at the start. And then once I was in a place and ready, you know, we did the Richard's trauma process. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Which is,
So, and how long did you do that for before it started?
Well, look, I think all my traumas were resolved within a few months. Wow. But I kept seeing him for other issues, you know, issues surrounding my parents or shame and whatnot, things that I wouldn't necessarily call PTSD or trauma. But just more subtle human type stuff. Yeah, I kept seeing him for that.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because, to be honest, I and we were talking about this before, I haven't heard someone, even I know a lot of people in recovery that kind of say, I experienced this significant trauma. Yeah. And like I'm fully better from it. I'm recovered. Like
Yeah,
I don't
you don't
experience
do
the
that.
pain from it anymore.
Yeah.
So talk us through it. Like, how does it work? What did it do for you? Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so well, I'll explain the Richard's trauma process. So the first session, because it uses hypnosis, but it also talks directly to the subconscious and the body.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can do all the conscious work in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't change the subconscious core beliefs. Or it may, but it can take a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And so with trauma, what happens is the part of the brain it's meant to store memories.
Yeah.
It gets overwhelmed with stress hormones when a catastrophic event happens.
Yeah.
Or it could be a build-up of life's little stresses.
And
it doesn't do its job and doesn't store the event as a memory.
Right.
Okay, so the body thinks it's still happening years later. So that traumatic event is still happening on videotape loop years and years later.
Yeah.
Hence why, one of the symptoms of PTSD is that feeling I'm not safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it can be passed down through genetics.
Yeah.
There was an experiment done, I can't remember where, but people in war and like they were all living in a village, their kids showed all the same signs of PTSD as their parents. And look at the catastrophes that happened last century. Yeah. Yeah. So if we don't know where it came from, it might not be something that happened to us. It can be passed down through DNA. So what it did for me, it's like the emotional charge, the emotional build-up of life is like a balloon.
Yeah.
It builds up. Pop. Anxiety disorder, or pop PTSD, or depression, or whatever. And, every time I'd go and see this guy, what would happen, the balloon would get deflated. Yeah. And, and then I got to the point where I did TRTP, the Richard's trauma process, and it just went, like it got to a point in the process where I felt my whole being sink back down to calm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And how long all up did it take you to kind of work through this?
Well, the Richard's trauma process is 3 2-hour sessions. Yeah. Yeah. And look, if there's still a game in holding on to the trauma, like if someone doesn't want to let someone go, like an abusive partner, or if they won't get their benefit anymore, or whatnot, it's not going to work because there's a secondary gain. I was at a point I had nothing to hold on to anymore. And so it took a few months of doing tapping and whatnot. I can't exactly remember, but I'd say 6 months of seeing him for maybe a 2-hour session every week or two.
Wow. Yeah.
But I think I saw him for 8 months, and I still see him every now and then. Like he's my good friend now. One of my mentors in this work. What it did is it gave me the relief that I was looking for. Yeah. Yeah. So like I remember every time I'd leave him, I'd feel that calm. Like, this is what I've been looking for. Yeah. This is why I've been using heroin. You know what I mean? This is why I've been using drugs and drinking alcohol and whatnot and hanging around dangerous people, because it gives me this. Yeah. And yeah, it was a strange realization that I had. Because my natural state without all this pain is what I was trying to get back to. Yeah. Like what I am is what I was actually looking for this whole time without the accumulation of bullshit. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of interesting. So you're sort of saying, in a way, for you in your life, like drugs served their purpose until they became the problem, and they didn't. Yeah. And really, you were just trying to get away from all the pain that had accumulated. Yeah. And you found it through doing this therapy style. So you do it now yourself. Like you went back and studied it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah.
So how long did that go for?
So they were intensive courses, right? So they didn't go for long, but it was an intensive 5-week course and intensive 3-week course. Yeah. But, now I'm qualified as a trauma specialist, and I like to think of myself as an addiction specialist, just through my experience. But, I went back and studied them because I see people, years clean, still in so much emotional pain, still playing out abusive relationship patterns, still playing out all their traumas, acting out in all different ways. And, I figured, this is what's missing.
Yeah. And do you think, do you have to be completely clean to undergo this work?
Yeah. This is a conversation I have with people, other practitioners. I believe that if I just had done this work, if I was using, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to have like a supportive community.
Yeah.
Yeah. My environment had to be supportive of recovery.
Yeah.
I had to be ready.
Yeah.
For this, I had to be ready to let it go.
Yeah.
To let the past go completely. And it's funny because after I'd do this work, I'd look back at how I was before, and I couldn't get back there.
Yeah.
How bad it was. I couldn't imagine how bad it was because the changes were done on such a deep level that, I didn't really notice.
Yeah.
I noticed, that I felt better, and I noticed the relief, like the initial relief, but everything I did started to change. The way I talked changed, the way I walked changed, the way I treated people changed, the way I reacted changed because my unconscious or subconscious drivers had been changed. Yeah, so I didn't think of myself as unworthy anymore. I didn't think of myself as I don't belong. So everything I did started to change. And I look at my life now, like I've got a beautiful partner, I've got a 6-week-old son, living in a house in Kyneton with my partner. Like I work 2 days a week from this like great centre, running my own business and whatnot. And I look back and it's like, well, that I didn't have to use my will and force myself to do that. It just happened sort of effortlessly. And because like those unconscious core beliefs were changed, the emotional charge was taken out of the past, and things just flow.
Awesome, man. So how do people, because I'm sure we're going to get a heap of questions out of this. How do people go about, accessing you? So, but first of all, we're here in your offices, which is Northgate. And the address of this place?
9 Langwell's Parade.
And this is like an overall holistic
it is.
centre that does... Is it all based around trauma, or is it just overall wellness?
Nutrition or overall wellness.
Cool.
Acupuncture, massage, etc.
Awesome. So you can get a one-stop shop of all that stuff. But how do people, what would you say to people that, first of all, are thinking about getting clean, but then also, thinking about they might be clean already and they're thinking about, I want to, get freedom from myself.
Well, that's the clients that I work with, ones who have either done rehab or are in recovery and whatnot, and that really want to be free of this pain.
So that's a big recommendation that you have.
Yes.
You've got to be super willing.
I get calls from parents and they're like, oh, my son's using ice and whatnot. And first I say, well, get your son to call me. Yeah. And I don't hear back most of the time. And, I understand. I do. They're grasping at what they can. But, if I do get a call from someone who's using, I'll do like a free sort of consultation and I can recommend rehabs and whatnot. But, doing the work that I do... It's really about you being clean. Okay, cool. Good to know. So, and how long would you kind of recommend? Is it the same as what you did, like that kind of 6 to 8 months? It depends on each person, really. It really depends on how much they want to work on, really. Because like I said, I started working on a lot more subtle patterns and whatnot. Awesome, man. All right. Well, hey, thanks so much for sharing your story, man. It was really good. Where can people find you if they want to have a chat and find out more about you and stuff? Okay, so my Facebook page is www.facebook.com/Reframe Therapies. Website's reframetherapies.com.au, and my phone number is 0413 232 531. Awesome, man.